If you would, open up your Bibles, your smartphones, your tablets, whatever you have access to the Word of God with. Open it up with me and turn to Genesis chapter 2. We're going to pick up where we left off. And while you're doing that, I'm just going to give you a little bit of background. 32. I'm going to give you a little bit of background as to how we got to where we are now. So Abraham, Sarah receive a promise from God. They have children. The promise continues to go on through the sons. Isaac has twins. Now, this is really cool, all right? So you have two types of twins, right? Anybody know? Identical. Maternal. Okay, you got Siamese as well. I'm sorry, but Siamese twins. So identical twins aren't usually actually identical. In the womb, one of the babies tend to absorb more nutrients than the other. So they come out a little bigger, they may look a little different. Sometimes they even come out first, right? So we have Esau, who was born first of his mom. He comes out, he's very hairy, he's red. And then Jacob comes after they think that it's done, holding his brother's heel. And one of the cool things about God is that he's very particular about names. And people understood this during those days. Again, Esau meant red. Jacob meant grabber, heel grabber. And as we look through the life of Jacob, he's trying to grab everything he can at every single opportunity he gets. As a matter of fact, his brother Esau was a hunter, and his dad loved red meat. So he'd go out, he'd hit the field, come back, give it to his dad, and his dad would be satisfied. Thank you, son. You're a great cook. You're a great hunter. And Jacob would be like, man, where do I fit? Where's my place? One day Esau goes out, and he is just exhausted. You could imagine Esau is a man's man. He's out in the wilderness. He's sweating it up. He's going through it. Comes back home and tells his brother, hey, man, what you cooking? I need some of that. I'm exhausted. I'm literally going to die. Jacob, being the grabber that he is, always trying to seize an opportunity, tells his brother, you want some of this good food? All right, give me your birthright. Whoa. And that's a big deal. Because as we see through the lineage of these men, they're passing the torch of blessing from one son to the next, that the promise would go on and be fulfilled, that God would make Abraham see a great nation. Jacob, understanding this, says, you really hungry? You really about to die? Give me that birthright. He's like, man, I'm dying here. What's a birthright to me right now? And so he takes the food, red lentils, and he eats. And from that day, Esau is called Edom, which is kind of funny because it means red. He's not just red anymore. Now he's red. Okay, so we got Edom, who's red. Okay. Jacob and his mother devises a plan to steal a promise from Esau when she overhears a conversation between Isaac and Esau. She goes to him and she says, hey, listen, your father is getting ready to bless your brother. And she knows that this is the moment that the torch is going to be passed. So what I want you to do is go out, get some meat, cook it, take it back to your dad. We're going to put some fur on you because you know you're not really as manly as your brother. You ain't hairy like he is. But we're going to put all this fur on you and we're going to go into your blind, dying father. And we're going to steal that promise. And so he does. Well, when Esau hears about this, he goes in and he's begging his father to bless him. Please, Father, bless me, even me. But the blessing was already given. The torch was already passed. So Esau is infuriated. And he goes to his mother. And he tells his mother about the fact that he wants to find and eliminate his brother Jacob. Mother's like, whoa, your brother finds comfort in killing you. You got to pack your stuff and get out of here right away. Talk about sibling rivalry, right? All right, man, this just goes to a whole nother level. So at this point, Jacob takes off. He finds a wife, scoring through the things he goes through with Laban. And again, we see him devising plans to take, to the point where he amasses this great wealth. But now God is calling him to continue on to the land that God had promised him. And so we pick up here in Genesis chapter 32, verse 1. And it says, Jacob went on his way, and the angels of God met him. And when Jacob saw them, he said, this is God's camp. So we call the name of that place Mahanaim. And Jacob sent a messenger before him to Esau, his brother, in the land of Seir, the country of Edom, the country of red. Now, at this point, Jacob was still a sojourner. He doesn't have any land or anything like that, but Edom is already very well established in the area. He now has a kingdom that he's presiding over. Let's continue. It says, let's go back to verse 3. And Jacob sent messengers before him to Esau his brother in the land of Seir, to the country of Edom, instructed them, thus you shall say to my Lord. My Lord, what? Thus says your servant Jacob, I have sojourned with Laban and stayed with him until now. I have oxen, donkey, flocks, male servants, female servants. I have sent to tell my Lord in order that I may find favor in your sight. So basically, what is he trying to say? I've amassed all of this wealth. I got a lot of good things going for me now, bro. Please don't hurt me. I want to find favor in your sight. Just let me pass through, and we all good. Check this out. Verse 6. It says, and the messengers returned to Jacob, saying, we came to your brother Esau, and he is coming to meet you. Whoa. Okay. Not only that, he has 400 men with him. Now, last you heard your brother was trying to kill you. Now you hearing your brother is coming to you and he's got 400 men with him? I don't know about y'all, but it don't sound like a winning battle to me. If you think about the way Jacob is viewing this. And Jacob is definitely viewing it. It says, then Jacob was greatly afraid and distressed. 401 people coming out for me? Yeah, I'd be pretty afraid and distressed too. It says, he divided the people who were with them and the flocks and the herds and camels into two camps, thinking, if Esau comes to the one camp and attacks it, then the camp that is left will escape. So already he's devising a plan. And quite sadly, he's willing to sacrifice one of his camps in order to save himself. Man, that's Esau for you. That's Jacob for you. It says, and Jacob said, O God of my father Abraham and God of my father Isaac, O Lord, who said to me, return to your country and to your kindred, that I may do you good, I am not worthy of the least of all these deeds of steadfast love and all the faithfulness that you have shown your servant. For with only my staff I have crossed this Jordan, and now I have become two camps. Please deliver me from the hand of my brother, from the hand of Esau, for I fear him that he may come and attack me, the mothers with the children. But you said, I will surely do you good and make your offspring as the sand of the sea, which cannot be numbered. So instead of just being stressed and fearful, Jacob begins to pray. And he's praying something very specific. But God, you promised that you will make me a great nation, that my offspring would be as much as the sea. He knew this in his head, but was he really getting it in his heart? Let's read verse 13. It says, so he stayed there that night, And from what he had with him, he took a present for his brother Esau. Still trying to get a bribe. Still trying to figure out a plan B. Still trying to take matters into his own hands because he fears for his life. Back during that time, livestock and things of that nature was currency. It was pretty much a person's wealth. So this is what he devises starting in verse 14. He takes 200 female goats and 20 male goats, 200 ewe and 20 rams, 30 milking camels and their calves, 40 cows, 10 bulls, 20, I'm running out of breath just saying all these things, 20 female donkeys, 10 male donkeys. These he handed over to his servants. Every drove by itself and said to its servants, pass on ahead of me. And said to his servants, pass on ahead of me. Y'all go first. I'm not going first. I know my brother was planning to kill me. Y'all go ahead. Maybe if he sees all of these things, when he comes out and he meets you, maybe he'll change his mind. Verse 17, he instructed the first, when Esau, my brother, meets you and asks you, to whom do you belong? Where are you going? And whose are these ahead of you? Then you shall say, they belong to our servant Jacob. They are a present sent for my lord Esau. He's still trying to stroke his brother's ego, butter him up. All right. Says, moreover, he is behind us. So yeah, he's here, he's coming, but take all these gifts and everything first, okay? Verse 19, he likewise instructed the second and the third, and all who followed the droves, you shall say the same thing to Esau when you find him. So imagine, every wave of people, every wave of animal, he's getting hit with this. Oh, my lord Esau, we send these gifts. He's really trying to butter his brother up to save his life. All the while sending all of these people ahead of him just in case his brother decides that he wants to take him out. He can beat feet. Y'all know what that means, right? He can run. He can get out of there. He can scram. Says, for he thought, I may appease him with the present that goes ahead of me, and afterwards I shall see his face. Perhaps he will accept me. Verse 21. So the presents passed on ahead of him, and he himself stayed that night in the camp. Now we come to a section here that I think all of us can really relate to. I don't know where you're at in your life, what you may be going through, but every single one of us has this innate desire, this innate passion to know God. Not only to know God, but to know ourselves, who we are, what is our purpose in life, what is our meaning. And so now as we come to this passage of this scripture, we're going to see Jacob having to confront these questions. And as we look, think about yourself. Where are you at in life? What is your struggle, your battle, your meaning, purpose? Who does God say that you are? Verse 22. The same night he arose and took his 2 wives, his 2 female servants, and his 11 children, and crossed the ford to the Jabbok. He took them and sent them across the stream, and everything else he had. Jacob was left alone. Sends everyone across stream. He's there by himself. And it says a man wrestled with him until the break of day. Now imagine devising this elaborate plan to woo your brother, gain his favor, send everyone ahead, and you're in a tent, dark at night, and someone jumps on you. I don't know about you, But I'd probably be screaming something like, assassin, assassin. He thought an assassin had come to kill him at night in his sleep. Says that they fought until the break of day. When the man saw that he did not prevail against Jacob, he touched his hip socket, and Jacob's hip was put out of joint. So can I have any volunteers to come up? See if I could pop your hip socket out with a touch? I might need something more like maybe 70 miles per hour, a semi-truck, you standing still, it hitting you. Then maybe, just maybe, think about the strength of your hip socket. How many times have you jumped up and down? How many times have you ran? How many times have you walked? And it's still been completely intact. Now, sure, there are some people that fall, they injure their hip, it comes out, and typically when it's injured, it can get re-injured again, but the fact is, being attached to the point of your body that it is extremely reinforced. For someone to simply touch a hip and pop it out, light bulb. Light bulb went off in Jacob's mind. And it says, and Jacob's hip was put out of joint as he wrestled with him. Then he said, let me go, for the day has broken. But Jacob said, I will not let you go until you bless me. That Jacob, man, always looking for a blessing. And he said to him, what is your name? That's so key in this part of the passage. He says to him, what is your name? And he says, I'm Jacob. I'm the heel grabber. I'm the grabber in general. That's who I am. Then he said, your name shall now no longer be called Jacob, but Israel, for you have striven with God and with men and have prevailed. Wow. So let's take a step back a moment. We have Jacob lied, cheated, stolen from his brother, went on the run for many, many years, thinking he's come in contact with an assassin, which I will give it to him. He put up a fight. He did not quit whatsoever. Speaking to this individual, calling himself Jacob, he says in return, you shall no longer be called Jacob, but Israel, one who wrestles with God and with man and have prevailed. Moments before this, he's in his tent, shaking in his boots, worried that he's about to lose his life. Some people look at this and they say, man, why would God do that? Why would God wrestle with Jacob in this way? How many of you fathers in here have sons? How many times have you been out to wrestle with your son and you had the ability to overtake him, overpower him, but instead you let him win a little bit, right? What's the purpose of that? Why would a father do such a thing with his children? To build their confidence, to build their trust, to build their courage. God was 100% capable of stopping the fight before it ended. But he lets it go on. He strives with Jacob all through the night. And in the morning, God says, all right, gig's up. It's time for me to show him who I am. But not only that, it's time for me to show him who he is. Wow. This brother that stole the promise, stole from Laban, essentially, so he could have this mass herd of livestock and servants. is now wrestling with God, and God is telling him, you're not who you think you are. You're not Jacob anymore. You're going and you're asking for blessings, but I have already blessed you. Who are you? You know what I've said to you. Believe it. For now, no one can say that they have ever striven with God and prevailed. God gave him that. He gave him that. There was no way that Jacob could actually beat God in a wrestling match. He gave him that to reassure him that God is who he said he is. That Jacob is who God promised he would be. While you're going into this land of Edom, this area that your brother has already conquered, that's very close to the promised land, maybe he's thinking, my brother beat me to the punch. He's got the promised land. Now he has the great army. He has everything. But me, God, bless me, even me. God told him he is blessed. Now, all throughout this passage, we see Jacob reminding God of God's promises to him, right? And then what does he do? Right back into plan B, huh? One of the cool things about God popping Jacob's hip out is the fact that you can't run no more, buddy. All the running is over. I promised I got you. I got you. I told you who you are. As they say today, he's him. But there's no more running for you after this point. Wow. Wow. What does that say to your life? How have you been hearing the promises of God, but yet trying to come up with the plan B? How often have you looked to the world or other people to find out who you are, to find your meaning, your purpose, your name? Maybe you're in a place unfamiliar. Maybe you're going to a place unfamiliar. Maybe you've been in a place unfamiliar. But God still is who he is, who he was, and who he forever will be. And even though Jacob is all jacked up and he doesn't do the right thing all the time, God shows us here that he always keeps his promises. So at this point, Jacob is verified. It is official. Verse 30, it says, so Jacob called the name of this place Peniel, saying, for I have seen God face to face, and yet my life has been delivered. The sun rose up on him as he passed Peniel, limping because of his hip. Therefore, to this day, the people of Israel do not eat the sinews of the thigh that is in the hip socket, because he touched the socket of Jacob's hip on the sinew of the thigh. It's really cool that they have that reminder. And even if they could be a nation called Israel, one who strives with God and with man and prevails. While God says that about him, says that about them, what does God say about you? After this, there was times where the Edomites would strive against the Israelites. The descendants of Esau and descendants of Israel would clash and they would fight. God kept Israel. There's times now today where we see conflict. So many different nations, so many great people group coming against the people of Israel, Israel descendants. And what a lot of people don't realize is that God fights with them. God fights for them. cannot be defeated. There's battles in your life that you're trying to face and you're trying to fight alone. But there's a God that's greater than all of those. And he's calling out to you. Whether you're wrestling with God, as in the ideas of God, who he is, who you are, he's calling you to trust him, just as he made Jacob trust him. Will God have to make you trust him too, or will you choose to trust him today?